Hey guys, so welcome to another episode, and you probably want to watch this till the end because we have a lot of opportunities lining up for next week. And before we look at those opportunities lining up for next week, I'll probably just show you what we had last week. So we had some good opportunities last week, and the first one was on BTC. So we had this sell, and this was on the 24th, April 24th. So this was the markup before, so we had these cells around here, and as the trade progressed, as usual, we always move our stops to break even. So we moved our stop to break even at this point, and as we kept monitoring the trade, we had to place the stop loss. Say we took it from the break even point and just to secure some profit, and at this point we secured about 1.63% already, and then eventually we closed the trade at 2.63, so that's almost 3% on this one, because price was finding it difficult to move to the downside. So this was the opportunity on BTC, and we closed it on 2.63. We had another opportunity on gold on April 25th, so we had a buy opportunity on gold, and this didn't perform perfectly. Like, it was very difficult for this to perform. So we had this buy opportunity right here, and we moved, so I'll put it right here. So April 24th as well. So April 24th, we took this buy opportunity on gold, and we moved our stops to break even just to secure this position in case price decides to reverse. And eventually price started moving, but it was so once price started moving, it came back to tap us out from the entry or from the break-even point, and so we didn't secure anything from this one. It was just a break-even position. So again, BTC, like the BTC one, was a good one because we had 2.63 from this one, and with the gold one it was just a break-even. So again, that's it for the opportunities last week. Now let's look at what is lining up this week, and as usual, we always start with the DXY. So this is what I'm looking at. This is what I'm looking at on the DXY. So from the daily time frame, we've had prices making this move to the upside, and as price makes its move to the upside, it takes out these highs progressively. So it's taking out highs, so each time it pulls back to areas like this, it's taking out these highs. And last week I was looking at this when prices was around here, and I was anticipating the pullback to test even an area like this or an area like this. So price didn't tap in there like perfectly, but you can see the pullback came in. It wasn't a perfect pullback to like this trend line from the daily time frame, but the pullback came in, and now price is moving to the upside. So with prices moving again to the upside with this impulsive bullish candle from the DXY or from the daily time frame, I'm still expecting prices to go to the upside, say to test areas like this and even test an area like 107. So if you're going off of like the psychological numbers, you want to see prices stay above 106, and if prices stay above 106 and it's difficult for the sellers to take prices to the downside, then logically it's possible for prices to go all the way to 107, because price is going to move from one side number to another side number, and that is just the basis of how I look at price action. So let's move, say, to the 8-hour time frame. I'll clean this real quick, and we'll look at the 8-hour time frame just to see if there's any opportunity, or to see if there is more price action we can make sense of. So on the 8-hour time frame, again, we had this impulsive move, which is the same thing we saw on the daily time frame, and now we have prices sitting above 106. When we move, say, to lower time frames, and again I can show you this, so if you put a trend line like right here, and you can see, so the pullback that came in on the daily time frame, so we had this move to the upside, and all you see here with this lows that was coming in, all of these are considered this as a pullback. So with this massive break like right here, I'm still expecting, say, some kind of a pullback, say, to test 106 or maybe come a little bit lower than 106, and then we see prices move again to the upside. And that's how price moves. So every time you have an impulsive move, So for example, if you have an impulsive move, you should expect prices to pull back and then continue in its initial direction. So this was the direction price was moving in before, which is this direction, and now we had a pullback, which is just a similar thing that is happening here. And the pullback can be seen as a downtrend as well, but it's just a minor downtrend in a major move. So once you get a break of this downtrend, you should see prices moving again to the upside. So going off of that principle, I'm expecting the DXY to move to the upside, and we should be able to take out areas like this and even test areas like 107. So we can look at this from the 4-hour time frame just to see what's happening and to see if there's more price action again we can work with. So what I like to see on the 4-hour time frame or lower time frames, once we move say above 106, I want to see price testing 106, like testing this area multiple times. And if it's difficult for prices to go past 106, we should see the buyers stepping in to take prices above to break this high and most likely test 107. So when you move say to the hourly time frame, I'll do this real quick. So on the hourly time frame, you already have the test that is coming in. So we're having a test of 106, but I like seeing multiple like tests. Like I want to see it testing this area multiple times, maybe one more time. If it goes here to 106 and it has a test of this area one more time and it's difficult for prices to go past this point, then we should expect the buyers to step in and take prices to the upside and most likely make new highs, so eliminating these highs. And that's what I'm looking at, or that's what I'm expecting next week. Now prices might come in a little bit deeper than this, so that's another thing you have to be prepared for. So let's say the buyers intend to take prices to the upside. So on the hourly time frame, you might see this price drop a little bit to the downside before buyers stepping in again, and it's still fine so long as we're not taking out these lows. We're still within this move to the upside on the hourly time frame. And if price puts in say a minor pullback here, once this gets taken out, we should see prices moving to the upside. So coming into next week, I'm expecting the DXY to move to the upside, and you can look at it say from the daily time frame. It gives you a clear picture of it. So we're still expecting prices to move to the upside next week. So price is taking these areas out and giving you these pullbacks. So every time there's a pullback, you expect prices to take areas like this out, and if it takes this area out, I'm expecting prices to move to 107. So that is what I have for the DXY coming into next week. I'm expecting these prices to move to the upside. So with this in mind, I'll step down to other pairs. So let's look at say US30 for example. So I'm expecting sales on US30, and you can see US30 has been in this massive downtrend. So you can look at this perfectly on say other time frames, let's say the 4 hours, 8 hours and the daily time frame, and you see what's happening on the DXY perfectly. But for now, I'm just going to stick on the hourly time frame. So I'm not going to go through all the time frames on these other pairs, but you can see price making subsequent lows, and it gives you a pullback, it makes a low, there is a pullback, it makes a low. So every time price makes a low, it gives you this pullback and it's giving you the subsequent lows. So there is a pullback and there is a subsequent low. So now we've had this price moving to this upside. So looking at this entire move from here to here, I'm still looking for selling opportunities on US30, because I can tell already from the DXY we're still expecting prices to move to the upside. And if I'm still expecting prices to move to the upside, then I'm looking for selling opportunities on US30. So you might look at this and think price is now moving to the upside because of this piece of price action right here, but that is not the case, because this is the entire move. And when you look at it from a higher time frame, you then realize everything that is happening here is just a pullback. And when you look at it say on the 4 hour time frame, I'll go to the 4 hour time frame. So on the 4 hour time frame, for example, you've had prices taking out these lows So you see it perfectly, and all. So this looks like it's moving outside this trend line, and you should expect buys, but this is just a pullback. So you have a massive move and you should expect a pullback. So when the move is massive as well, the pullback looks complex. So going off of what is happening on the DXY, I'm still expecting sales coming into next week on US30. Now this sell should at least test areas like 38,000 and go below to take out these lows. So that's what I'm looking at on US30. A similar thing is happening on NAS100. So this is a little bit complex compared to US30, because when you look at the move on US30, it's a massive move, and now we have this pullback. So on US30, real quick, let's take out this trend line, for example. So if you're not seeing this trend line, then it becomes easy for you to see, to appreciate what is happening on US30, and to really say, okay, price is moving to the downside impulsively, and you've had this trend. So everything that is coming up here is just a pullback. And again, you can look at this on higher time frames. Go on the 8-hour time frame. I'll do it real quick. So on the 8-hour time frame, you can tell price is moving to the downside, and everything that is happening here is just a pullback for us to see prices going again to the downside. Now I'm combining this with what is happening on the DXY, because I'm expecting these prices to move again to the upside. So let's look at NAS100 real quick. So NAS100 as well, we had this period of consolidation right here, and we looked at this, I think like 2 weeks, like I think that was 2 weeks ago or something, and price was consolidating within this area, and eventually we had this massive move to the downside. So now comparing US30 and NAS100, I'm also expecting sales to come in on NAS100, and looking at it, we've had this move again to the downside. So this is not the best, because you also have this trend that is building up here on NAS100. So in as much as I'm expecting sales to come in on NAS100, I'm also seeing, say, a possibility for buyers to come in. So you still have this buyers making highs, and there's a pullback, buyers making highs. So it's giving you this trend that is moving to the upside. So if I really want to get involved on sales for NAS100, what I'm looking for is, say, if you put a trend line here, for example, you probably want to see price tapping on this trend line, and there's that difficulty to go to the upside, then a break, a pullback, or a retest, and then you look for selling opportunities on NAS100. So compared to, say, US30, which looks, I think, almost ready for me, so I could just get entries already on US30, and we're taking prices to the downside. But on NAS100, for example, this I need to wait, because the uptrend on this is still, I think it's still clear, or it's still evident, like it's still moving to the upside. So you just want to wait and see when this uptrend eventually fails, then you can look for your selling opportunities on NAS100. So I'll be a little bit patient with NAS100, simply because the uptrend on NAS100 is still impulsive for me compared to US30. When you look at the S&P500, now the S&P500 is a good one, because we're actually sitting on a psychological number right now. So we're sitting on 5100, which is this point right here. So again, if you zoom out, and I'm still using the hourly time frame, if you zoom out, you see prices making lows and giving you this pullbacks, which is just like lower highs. It keeps making these lows, it gives you this lower highs. Now when you look at this on the hourly time frame, you have this downtrend, and you might say price has violated, you might say, okay, give me a second guys. All right, cool. So when you look at it from the hourly time frame, you might think price is moving now to the upside, but trust me, you need to use multiple time frames to do your analysis. So when you use multiple time frames to do your analysis, so what you're looking at on the hourly time frame, for example, this move right here, which looks like an uptrend, when you go progressively to higher time frame, say the 4-hour time frame, the 8-hour time frame, the daily time frame, you realize this move right here is simply a move to the downside and a pullback, and we should be expecting prices to move again to the downside. And that's why I'm looking at this, and I'm still expecting prices to move to the downside. So I'm still expecting prices to move to the downside on the S&P 500. Now let's combine this with another concept. So the fact that the S&P 500 is sitting on 5100, which is a psychological number right here, if the buyers are really serious with this move to the upside, we should see an impulsive break above 5100. We should see prices break, pull back, have a test, and then we see a subsequent move to the upside. So let's say coming into next week, price finds it difficult to go past. Let's say coming into next week, I'll put this, we'll clear this just to make the chart clean. And let's say coming into next week, price finds it difficult to go past this area of 5100. So if price keeps sitting around this point and we see an impulsive break to the downside and a pullback, say to test this psychological number, then we should see prices moving to the downside. Again, the most likely place or the most likely point price is going to get to is 5000, which is this point, like 5000. So we should see sellers coming in to take prices lower to this point. But all this depends on what happens on this psychological number right here of 5100. So if price finds it difficult to go past that point, I'm looking for selling opportunities to 5000. So again, it depends on what happens on the DXY as well. I have this anticipation that price is going to move to the upside, and because of that, I'm looking for selling opportunities here. I'm combining it with the fact that we have this psychological number here and price is finding it difficult to go past this point. So if I see price just hovering around this point and it's difficult to go past this, we should then see prices move to the downside, a pullback, and we'll look for an opportunity to sell. You look at NAS100, same thing. Price is moving to the upside, but it's still very impulsive as of now because you still have this established trend to the upside. So what am I looking for on this one? I'm looking for a period where price finds it difficult to go to the upside, and then we look for that break, a pullback, and then we go in. And US30, this, when you look on lower time frames, again, there's a lot of drawings here. So when you look at US30, I'll clean this. Or you know what, this is like the 8-hour time frame. Like, let's just stay here. So on US30 as well, looking at this from the 8-hour time frame, when you look at it from the hourly time frame, it might be really confusing, simply because you have on the hourly time frame, you have a move to the downside, you have a break, and now you think price is moving to the upside. When you combine it with what's happening on the DXY, we're expecting the DXY to move to the upside. Then this move on the DXY, which is this move, when you look at it on the hourly time frame, it looks like an uptrend, but I'm looking at it as a pullback from what is happening on the 8-hour time frame and the daily time frame. So on the 8-hour time frame and the daily time frame, it's just a pullback for this downtrend right here. So you have this trend, this is a pullback, and I'm expecting prices to move again to the downside. Now let's look at the last pair, which is gold. So I had to break even on this pair because I think I got in around here and I was expecting prices to move to the upside. That was last week. So I was expecting these sales to come in on the DXY so I could take buying opportunities on gold. Yes, the sales came in on the DXY, but the movement on gold wasn't impulsive. So it just tells you the buyers are actually struggling. So I got in here, price moved a little bit, and then we had this break even. And yes, you can say price has moved again, but it's not as impulsive. So these are the moves we're looking for. So once you get in a trade, you really want to see these prices launch. When price starts struggling like this, it means it's difficult for these buyers to actually take the move to the upside. So just looking at what is happening on gold right now and going off of what is happening on the DXY, this is a piece of price action I'm looking at. So I'm looking at this impulsive move to the downside, and I'm looking at this as a correction. So if I'm looking at this as a correction, this for me is just a pullback, and if we get a break of this area, we should see prices moving to the downside. So you can do it like this. So let's say you put your trend line this way on gold, and going off of what is happening again on the DXY, because we're expecting the DXY to move to the upside. When you see a move like this on gold and you see how the buyers are struggling, move to the upside, consolidation, price taps on this and it's taking out these highs, but each time price takes out the highs, you see these wicks coming in. So it's just telling you sellers are still trying to take prices to the downside, and you take out these highs, but every time you take out the highs, the new high that forms is very shallow. It's not impulsive. So if you want to see buyers stepping in impulsively, then you want to see price taking out highs and making impulsive moves. When there's a pullback, it takes out a high and it should be impulsive. So the moves on gold for me is not that impulsive. So it just tells me like it's going to be very difficult for the buyers to sustain this move to the upside. So let's say buyers move or get a pullback here and find it difficult to take prices to the upside. So once I see buyers failing to take prices to the upside and we get this break of this trend line, all I'm looking for is just a pullback and opportunities to sell. So 2300 is going to be a good area for me. And if you look at it, yeah, so let's say you get a break from here and you pull back maybe to an area like this. This might give you say 1:2 already. So taking it here just to this area in an area like this. So this is 1.247, and this is a good trade as well. So just imagine this. Sometimes it's even difficult for you to make say 1%. So this is 2.4%, just going off of you looking at what is happening on the DXY and anticipating what is going to happen on these other pairs. So this is what I'm looking at on gold, US30, NAS100, S&P500. And again, when you do your analysis, guys, always remember this is an anticipation. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm anticipating that is going to happen coming into next week. Now I could be totally wrong, like completely wrong, and if I'm completely wrong, then you could see prices hover around here or find it difficult to stay above 106. You see sellers step in, take prices lower, and that is it, and you just see the DXY dropping. So it's very possible for something like this to happen, and if this happens, it means all the selling opportunities I'm looking for on S&P, NAS, US30 and gold, you might then see an opposite move to the upside. But again, because I have this pre-anticipation on the DXY, if I see the reverse or if I see something opposite, it's easy for me to flip the coin and look for buying opportunities. So again, this is it for this week. And if you're liking this content, if you find this interesting, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. See you during the next one. Bye for now.